Hey friends, Taylor Lynn, Salem First Christian Church youth pastor here, and I'm excited to share a quick message with you. I hope that you are safe at home. I hope you're finding productive ways to spend your time during this craziness. We're coming up on a really important week in the Christian church, one that we call Holy Week, and each year in the Christian calendar, we remember certain dates and certain events that happen in the Bible. Think Christmas time, right? We remember Jesus' birth. Well, next week, we start what's called Holy Week. And Holy Week is a time where we remember the week before and during when Jesus is arrested, is crucified, and then comes back to life. We call that Holy Week. And Holy Week starts with Palm Sunday, which we're going to celebrate this Sunday. Now, Palm Sunday is a time when Jesus comes into Jerusalem, where he's later arrested and crucified. He comes into Jerusalem, and the people are celebrating him. They're throwing palms down there. They're to mark where he's going. He rides in on this donkey. It's this beautiful time where they're cheering and hollering and praising him. But that doesn't last the whole week, as we know. And so the week kind of continues. And so next week, you're going to hear things like Maundy, Thursday, which Maundy, Thursday is the day where we celebrate the Last Supper. It's the day we remember the Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples. And it's the time that we take our communion from. It's the first time Jesus says, he breaks the bread and he pours the wine, and he says, when you do this, do it in remembrance of me. And so every time we take communion, we're remembering Maundy, Thursday. Well, on Thursday next week, we will be celebrating and remembering that on Maundy, Thursday. When you hear that, that's what that means. The next day, on Friday, is called Good Friday. Now, Good Friday is kind of an oxymoron in a way, because it's called Good Friday, but what we're remembering and thinking about that day is the day that Jesus is arrested and is crucified. Now, that doesn't sound very good, right? That doesn't sound very good right off the bat, but there is beauty and good in that, right? Because we refer to it as Good Friday because that sacrifice that Jesus made is how we're able to connect with God the way that we are. And so that's why we refer to it as Good Friday. That's how we remember it. And then a couple days will go by and you'll hear Easter. Now, most of you have probably heard of Easter. You maybe have even attended an Easter service, even if you don't attend a church normally. But we'll get to Easter. If you don't know anything about Easter, you probably at least know about the Easter bunny and the Easter egg hunts, which have nothing to do with the Easter that's on the church calendar, right? The Easter is the Sunday that we celebrate Jesus' resurrection, the resurrection of Christ, the day that Jesus came back to life after being dead for 3 days. So on Easter, we celebrate that powerful story, that one of the most powerful parts of Jesus' story is this resurrection. And so as we move into Holy Week, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to read about Holy Week. We talked about Palm Sunday, Maundy, Thursday, Good Friday, Easter, but there's some chunk of time in there too that Jesus does some incredible ministry. And I'm going to challenge you to read about that week of Jesus' life in this next week. Right? You've got some extra time on your hands. I'm going to challenge you to use that to read some of Holy Week. And I've attached in the description below a reading list of places you'll find the stories of Holy Week. But one I want to talk about really quick with you is a story of Jesus washing his disciples' feet. Now, Jesus comes into this week knowing he's going to die. I don't think the last thing I would do, one of the last things I would want to do on earth if I knew I was going to die was serve others, right? I might want to travel. I might want to eat some really good food. I might want to see something I've never seen, or spend time with people that I really love. But probably the last thing on my mind, if I knew I was going to die next week, would be, oh man, how can I serve others? But that's exactly what Jesus does in the story in John 13 that we read about. Jesus washing his disciples' feet. He becomes the servant. The teacher serves others. And so I want to challenge you with this as we go into Holy Week. In the midst of this craziness, I want to challenge you with this. Read Holy Week stories and think, how can I be a servant like Jesus? How can I serve the people around me like Jesus served his disciples? Right? Maybe it's something that you can do for your parents or your guardians. Maybe it's something you can do for your siblings. Maybe it's something that you can do for your neighbors. But how can you serve other people? See, Jesus isn't thinking about his death at this point. He's thinking about, how can I serve the people around me and be a good servant? Check out the description below for those reading lists. And parents, if you're in here watching this, check out the description below for a link to our parent guide that I hope will help you continue this conversation at home. I love you guys. If there's anything you need, please reach out. Don't hesitate to ask. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing a Zoom call on Thursdays. We're doing Zoom youth groups until we can get back to normal. So check out our Instagram page or your emails for that. Love you.